Chapter 11, The Art and Science of Boxing by Rocky Marciano.
You the man, Rocky!
Thank you, AJ. As I was saying, in the previous chapter, Charley Goldman and I outlined the basic foundation for skilled boxing. In doing so, we stressed a number of essential points: physical conditioning, patience, perseverance, good training, and a willingness to learn. These are the tools a novice begins with. He has to have them if he wants to master even the first steps in boxing: stance, punching, counterpunching, and so forth. But you will also remember that experience was mentioned as essential to ring mastery. The knowledge that a boxer picks up as he goes from novice to professional status is something that can't be rushed. There is no quick and easy substitute for it. Experience makes sound training and fundamental knowledge a habit. It makes good boxing against any opponent almost second nature to a fighter. When a boy has developed to the point where he is instinctively a good fighter, boxing has become an art and a science to him. This kind of development is a goal you should be aiming at even as a novice. Even if you have no intention of making boxing a part of your livelihood, you should still have the drive that makes you want to do a thing as well as it can be done. You need this kind of push for success in any field. The next 3 chapters will deal with the arts of infighting, feinting, and defensive boxing. These skills, in combination with the knowledge of correct position and punching, form the core of the art and science of boxing. Before Charley Goldman goes into them in detail, I would like to make a few general comments. Infighting. Infighting is one of the lost arts of modern-day boxing. This has been brought about by a lack of concentration on the parts of both trainers and boxers. Neglect in this area has resulted in many fighters today being deprived of knowledge that could make them better at the sport. As it stands, the short-armed boxer is taking only minimum advantage of his superiority in close-in action. The long-armed fighters, who usually work best at a distance, are often totally ineffective when it comes to close-in fighting. Both types stand to gain much from a knowledge of infighting. The short-armed boy can offset his natural disadvantage against a lankier opponent, and the long-armed boy can improve his offensive and defensive power by learning a few tricks about infighting. Feinting. Great fighters of the past have been masters of the art of feinting. Feinting is the ability to fake out an opponent by making moves that confuse and befuddle him. When it is done correctly, he will relax his defense long enough for the boxer feinting to counter with a punch other than the one he expected. The great Benny Leonard, former lightweight champion of the world and one of the greatest fighters of all time, was famous for his mastery of the mix-em-up move. When in action, he would first feint an opponent, then study his opponent's reaction to the move. Remembering this, he would wait for a while, then deliberately try the same feint again. This time, however, he knew how his opponent would move and would shoot a punch into the opening he knew was coming. Benny Leonard's ability in feinting illustrates the importance of experience. As you advance in boxing, you will learn more and more techniques that will increase your ring ability. Just as in any science, you learn by participating and by thinking out in advance the moves you will perform. Defensive boxing. If you watch matches on television, you have probably noted that the majority of the boxers performing today are offensive fighters. There are a number of reasons for this, but perhaps the main one is that video audiences demand slam-bang fights. Consequently, the boys you see in action are there primarily to please the crowd. A skilled defensive boxer is usually the product of long and intensive training. Too many of the offensive boxers you see today are green, untried youngsters who do little more than throw a barrage of reckless punches. The skilled, careful boy knows that slipping punches is also part of the art of self-defense.